Just different beadwork and different concepts on it. What I do is Native American, but some of the stuff I have, this is from Maasai tribe over in Africa, and then the colors all had meanings to them. So it's like red and orange is the color of the tribe, white is peace, green is livestock, black is people. So they use that in their decoration and everything. And some missionaries that I knew picked this up. And it looks like it's on either like a bull hide of some sort, or I don't know if it'd be elephant or not. Everybody, since it's Africa, yeah, it's elephant.
You want me to take stuff from?
You can.
Can we pass them around?
Is it okay if
Sure,
they get passed
sure.
around? Okay.
And this.
And you can use that paper to lay everything on.
And this same tribe, Maasai, and the way they did this beading, it's just a wrap, and then they do a little half hitch type thing here, and then go back around, half hitch, come back around. It's just a wrap type thing. It's not sewed on. There's no leather behind it. It's just up against the wood. And a lot of the, well, this one, beadwork with the Native Americans, they were doing it before they ever came in contact with the whites, but it would have been more of a bead that was something like that, or out of shells, or out of bones. And then they also used porcupine quills, which is what these are here. And so the ladies, when they would be sewing it on, they have the porcupine quill in the mouth, which gets it soft. Then they pull it between the teeth to flatten it, and then they lay it down and sew it down that way. The color is pokeberry, is what the deer tail was dyed with pokeberry, and these porcupine quills were dyed with pokeberry. A friend of mine made it, and then she also did it on rain tan deer skin. So it's close to the way it would have been made back then. The only thing, the little glass beads is a modern thing, and the brass is a modern type thing. And that would be a knife sheath for the men and the women, but it'd be worn around the neck. They didn't wear it down on the waist, they wore it around the neck. Now, most of what I do is woodland Indians east of the Mississippi. So there's over 1,200 different tribes in the United States when the white man comes. So when somebody says it's Native American, it tells you absolutely nothing, because the tribes are different areas of the country, they behave differently. In the Northeast and the eastern part, they were matriarchal tribes. Matriarchal instead of patriarchal means the women rule, not the men.
I like that one.
The women owned the homes. The women sat in council and everything. The war chiefs would usually be a man, but he would have to make peace or to go to war. It has to come from the council, and that's the women. And they're the ones in charge. They're the ones who, head woman would be the one who would be owning the lodge that they lived in. And the lodge would have several families. It wouldn't just be one family. It'd be a longhouse. So it's a lot different than when you see the movies where they all look like Sioux or Cheyenne with the big war bonnets and everything. They didn't have them east of the Mississippi. They didn't use that. And then I just go with that type of designs and everything. This one here, it's done on a loom, but it's an old pattern. It's just called woodland. They don't have a tribe designated for it. And the colors are what the book told me it would be, that type of thing. I go with a lot of history books, a lot of things in museums. Gilcrease Museum up in Tulsa, Oklahoma is a neat place to go to see a lot of beadwork and everything. If it doesn't move, you can bead it. This is a hat I wear a lot, so some of the beads are coming off after I wash it and that. This one here hasn't been worn. I just started doing the beads and stuff on it. And this is the Great Seal of the Choctaw tribe. It's up in Oklahoma. But there's 32 tribes up in Oklahoma. This is a piece of sinew. Sinew is tendon. And this is a tendon from a deer. So to get it to come off in thin strips like this, you take a rock and you beat on it, and then you work it. And this is what they would be sewing the porcupine quills down on with. They'd be sewing the pouches, the moccasins, all the clothing are sewed with sinew. It's just a tendon off deer, buffalo, elk, whatever. So they would use that.
I never buy that hats.
Can you imagine?
And the
You
feathers,
wouldn't get a very long strip to.
I just like beading things, so I like the circular, the peyote type stitch on things, so I bead the ends of the feathers.
So you beat it right on the feather.
Right on the feather. You could make up these little round things like this. You can make them big enough that it can be a napkin holder or whatever you want it to be. I use a lot of them I make them up big enough. I have neckerchiefs, and I'll wear the neckerchief, and this will be a slide that comes up over to hold it together, and so I don't have to have a tie that's tied on. And then on the back of the neckerchief, I have it where it's cut and then it's Velcroed together, because I've never understood why you would have a tie where somebody can drag you wherever they want you to go. So I just have it Velcroed where if they wanted to take my tie, they take my tie, but I stay back. This here is a little wooden bobbin case. I use it for holding needles and stuff, small needles, and threw some beads on it.
I asked you, what are these feathers of?
Those are actually chicken feathers, but they've been turkey or chicken, and then they've been sprayed. That's a wild turkey on the colored one. The other one is a white turkey feather type thing, where they spray it to look like an eagle feather, because if you don't have certain paperwork, you can't have the eagle feathers. So I don't have the eagle feather. This was on my rattle, my dance rattle, and you can tell it got broke, but it was a neat little curly stick, so I like the curly sticks. When they would smoke the pipe, the smoke goes up to the Father. The prayers go up with the Father. The curve in the stick represents the prayers and the smoke going up to the Father. And this is all done, it's done by a vine growing around the tree as it's growing, or the limb, in whichever case.
It's natural, in other words, right?
Yeah, it's just natural. It's like this one here, have the vine that started down here and works its way up. Actually, it's starting down here and working it up way up there, but to make my walking stick.
It's pretty.
And then I just trim away the wood. Then I put a piece of leather like around the bottle. I put the leather around so when you're putting the beads on and you're pulling them up, it has some place to go and it doesn't slip around on you. It'll keep where you want it. And then you can sew it right to the leather so it doesn't go moving on you a lot.
How'd you attach these leather strips down here?
Those are part of the leather that I sewed onto that.
Oh.
And then it's just like these here.
Yeah.
So I leave them like that. When I get finished, I just take my scissors and then I cut them about 8 to 1/4 inch, depending on the size. and then it just hangs down. This
Now,
here,
Do you make up your own patterns, or these are some you researched?
that one's my pattern. The other one's my pattern. It's just sometimes I do the research one, sometimes it's just something I want. A lot of times, well, like all these bottles and stuff, they're mine. It's not that I come up with the feather design, but I see the feather design and then I work at it to get the feather. The difference on that one there, that's more a brick stitch or a Comanche stitch instead of a peyote stitch, because they're laying flat, they're not going up and down.
Mm-hmm.
So there's different, you folks bead, so you know.
I can see they're flat.
Yeah, so it's either called brick or Comanche, depending on who. The gourd stitch or the peyote stitch goes around, it's more like the other one there. And it's like this piece of wood, I start out with my dowel, put my leather around it, sew it on and glue it. Then whatever design you want to put on it. I saw the American flag one done and I like it. And then, you know, you can put the spiral on, or you can just make it up and down to make it more look like the flag. Don't lose them, I need the keys.
These are in
He's
here
gotta go home.
somewhere.
I like that leather idea.
I don't really think we need this.
Okay.
What kind of
They
thread
don't-
do you use?
What kind of what?
Thread.
Artificial sinew.
So you use artificial sinew.
Artificial sinew.
Where'd you
I
get
have-
it?
They sell it at different stores, craft stores and stuff, but the easiest place to do it, dental floss.
Huh.
I like mint just for the flavor.
When you're threading it, threading
But
the needle, you taste
The
it.
artificial sinew is just nylon that's been waxed, and that's all your dental floss is. And dental floss is a lot easier to get, a lot easier to use, and it comes smaller. A lot of times the artificial sinew, this is one of the looms I use, and depending on how long a belt determines on how long you want to make your loom. So you just make it and how wide, that type of thing.
And you make your own looms?
Yes.
Well, knowing you, yeah, you do. I've seen some of the other things you make.
Yes, this is artificial sinew. So
Brenda?
it's sort of thick
The wrong way?
and a lot for little
Here,
small
mine.
beads and stuff.
I'll take it.
The other works much easier.
I'll trade to that. Okay.
Okay, you put the leather on first, but you don't necessarily sew the beads to the leather.
Not, I start out with the beads sewed to the,
Okay.
the first starts out with
Yeah.
the sewed to the leather.
Okay.
My first row, I go through that same bead that first started
Yeah,
out,
right.
sew it back. Then I go through and then
After that, you don't.
I can or I don't have to. It makes it easier if you sew the first row at the top or so close. But the first row at the top will usually be, like on bottles and everything and on those, I start about a 1/4 inch down. Get my pattern going in that. Then when I'm finishing, I can go back up to finish off close to the top of the glass or wherever.
So let me ask another question. What type of needle do you use to go through that leather?
Yes, you got from here. Obviously not the needles we beat.
I know.
Well, it depends. I have leather needles.
Oh, you
small
have leather
that
needles,
I use.
okay.
But they're small enough that they'll go through the size of beads that I use.
Okay.
I don't use real small beads like you ladies use.
Okay.
And I like the American flag. And this other design is a Cheyenne design. And
Oh,
then
they're
I just
heavy.
change the colors a little bit on it.
Blueberry like that. Mm-hmm.
And the bottles, you just, whatever bottle you have, this is pimentos. This was Listerine, I think. These are syrup bottles. This is a little syrup bottle that you get at
Cracker Barrel.
Cracker Barrel. You got it. So, you know, you just, whatever pattern, whatever colors you like.
You start at the top or the bottom of the bottles?
Yeah,
Which? Either one.
Yes.
it depends. I've done
Okay,
both.
okay, how do you, and the bottles are covered with leather two-way?
Yeah, I cover them.
Like that?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're sewing the first row, whichever way you start, to the leather. And after that, you
The
don't.
first one going around, I only sew
Yeah.
the first bead. Say I'm starting here. I'll sew my first bead. Doing the peyote, you could do your count and everything, get the right number.
Yeah.
I don't do two, I do a 3-drop, 3-bead drop type thing. So you get your beads on, get your count right for your first row and everything. Then when I take off the extras, start again, I put it through that first bead, back into the leather and back out. So that first bead's going to be staying real stationary. Then I work my way around, get the first row going really well. Then if I want to sew, tack it like a fourth of the way, just so they're not going to be moving up and down on me as I'm working
So
to
you
get
don't
started.
sew
Once you got so many on,
every
there you
bead
go.
of the first row.
And this one here I made for my wife. It says Corky. That's her name. Like this one here, I didn't make, but a guy over in Harlingen did. And I gave him a pouch I made, and he gave me this in exchange. I didn't really want it in exchange. I don't give things to get something back. But this one, the closure on it is a deer antler, the tip of a deer antler.
Mm.
And then he had made it because he's Native American.
That's different.
The leather I use, I recycle. So I'll go to Ropa and I'll find coats or purses or something with the leather that I like. And then I'll buy that coat or leather, that coat or purse, whatever it is. And then I cut the pieces, and then I use the pieces for doing this or
Whatever you want.
putting on the back of this.
And that's a real snug fit on that suede right there, that leather on that bottle.
This one.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Do you wet the leather?
Hmm?
Before you put the leather on and sew it on, do you wet the leather? No.
I don't.
Okay.
You probably could, but I'm just having a hard enough time to get it where I want it, so I just
Really?
Well, don't
That's
have
probably Martha.
and like you can buy these belt buckle blanks, and then you can bead the belt buckle blank. This was done by Shoshone up in Idaho, and I got a hold of it. I liked it.
So once again, you put the leather on the belt buckle first.
Right, and this one here,
Hi, Joanne.
it's got brain tan deer skin on it. So they use the brain tan because Native Americans use brain tan on a lot of different things. So that way the beads will pull into it and it doesn't go moving around on them. And these are just different patterns and stuff that, you know, you can make any size you want. This one here, I made it up for my, I've got a Jeep Wrangler, so this fits over my sun visor.
Oh, wow. Never thought about.
So if it's down, it's the one color. If it's up,
It's
make them
nothing
into
cheap.
belts. You can make them into straps, whatever you want it to be. All of these are old patterns that I've gotten out of the either museum or out of the books where it's been documented out of the museums for different types.
That's like grandmother's flower garden, that one.
Yeah. She's a quilter too.
Yeah.
And Winnebago and Kickapoo, the first one over there, the red and white, that was Kickapoo. This one and that one, I believe, are Winnebago. And this looks like a Winnebago.
this doll. Look at this
And
doll.
like this
Yeah.
pouch,
Oh, wow.
Glad that.
That's
It's got the red
gorgeous.
wool on it, but underneath I've got a canvas, so because I wanted it to last really well. And then I did this pattern, which was a woodland type pattern. And then later on, years later, I did the same pattern on the loom, only totally filled in. So that's same.
Beautiful.
Get things off of you.
Just okay.
You have your lap full.
That's okay.
That is gorgeous.
That is beautiful.
And the three little loop things down here is this guy here. I like him. He's I don't remember. Tells me somewhere, probably a 40 caliber or something. But then it's got horsetail. So I like horses and stuff. So I made that up, and then you can just put that on my walking sticks or anything you want to put it on. Keychains I make, and it's the recycled leather again. And then I go out to shooting ranges and pick up brass and stuff, and then just do the work with the leather and that to make them so that it makes a key ring for them. And then the pouches, I make up lots and lots of different pouches.
It's called pokey every now and then.
I made up the pouch here like the other pouches, then I put the bead design on, whatever design I want to
Oh, that's
put
cute.
on. And then, okay, quilters and, what do you call it when we use the needlework of some sort?
Applique. Needlework.
Sometimes needlepoint.
Okay, needlepoint.
embroidery.
You know what you expect to see on the inside. You expect to see the threads coming through. The
Yeah.
threads do not come through.
You put them just through the
You
edge
go
of the
into the
leather.
leather and you come back out. Because
Look
if
at the
they go
little
through,
edge.
my coins and my stones will cut the threads, and then my beads come on.
Aha, never thought about
So the old women, the Native Americans, and it was the women who did the beadwork. It would not take it all the way through the leather. It would just go in and come right back out, do their thing.
Does
A
that,
couple different rocks.
And what's the meaning of the
No,
acorn?
that's little pieces
an
that are
acorn.
bullets.
It's a live oak. It's a live oak from down here.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, they cover.
We carried Buckeyes a lot. I probably still have one someplace.
I've met a couple women. They'd taken some Buckeyes across into Mexico, and they came back.
How do you know
They
that?
had it in their little pouch, and it rattles inside. And the border guards down here didn't know why this thing would be rattling, so they didn't get to bring their Buckeye back, even though they'd taken it with them
it is
across.
matona.
Coming back, they kept carrying rocks and Apache tear. I'll carry Apache tear sometimes.
What's an Apache tear?
It's a rock that has a little tear design in it when you look
Oh,
through it. It's more obsidian. It's really obsidian, so it's from volcanoes and it melted.
oh
And then the
wow.
Apache tear, if you get on the internet, it's got a legend that tells you why the Apache women were crying and made these tears. I'll make longer, shorter, different angles. Some I put fringe on. I don't have any with me with fringe. For color, or sometimes I change the top, but not very often. I like to hand those around. If you want one, take one.
This is the one that has the flower inside.
Oh,
That
turn
you,
it around.
yeah, so you can see the stitching.
But it doesn't come through.
Yeah, it doesn't come through.
Have you been doing this for a while?
Turn around.
1990s when I started. We started doing reenactments, and I'm German and Native American, and back where we were in Indiana, German was the priority, and then I got more into the Native American thing, and that's all it's ended up what all I did. I
So
got
which tribe?
I would get with Miami, Potawatomi,
No,
and
which
Shawnee.
tribe are you from?
Who knows?
Because you're
Grandma
German
never.
and Native American, but you don't know which one.
Grandma didn't know.
Oh.
She just knew she was Native American and tribe. She was from Texas originally, World War One, my grandfather came down
Diana.
in service. They got together, they got married, they went back up to Indiana. So, and I've talked to some of her brother's kids. So my dad's cousins, but they don't know. They say, according to all the research they've done, no, but Grandma and her brother do not look like the rest of the family. They don't match anything. So they said they've heard that, but they don't know either. So it was not a big deal to my grandmother back in Indiana. She just was what she was, and
There was a time period where it was
Yeah,
the Indian. When I was teaching, every year I would ask my kids, how many of you
Yeah.
know?
that was done in
saw that.
Africa. That piece comes from Africa.
Oh,
That was
okay.
Maasai tribe. The wife, like I said, we did reenactments. So made her the skirt, and she's got the top and everything. But it goes on, and then they would do that type of bead work around the edging. And then this here is called ribbon work. Ribbon work was still done by Delaware, Shawnee,
Osage.
Miami, Osage. A lot of the eastern woodlands did the ribbon work, and they still do it. Oklahoma has a lot of it. This pattern's called the beaver tail, otter tail, because it's got the 4 feet and then the tail dragging. So it's just the name of the design. It's a lot like quilt work, but each piece is cut and folded and everything just right. This is the bottom of a skirt she did that has more like a Southwest type design on it. So, you can do lots of different, it's like all the beadwork you do, just whatever you come up with, you want it
That's
to
some
be.
kind of wool, the skirt.
Yeah, the skirt was wool.
A lot
It was
of them
made out of a
now
piece of
use
blanket.
broadstock instead of
This is
wool.
That's one
application.
of the needles. It's one of the styles. It's
We
not-
use these. What are they? The John James needles, we use these, but these are, it doesn't say it's for
There's
leather.
the wax too.
It just says it's
The
for
wax
beading.
like the-
Size 10, 13.
So I do have some others that are for the leather, but they're a smaller one. I get those out of Oklahoma. And then there's an Indian store, I get some of the stuff.
Mhm.
And like if I want to make something little like this for whatever purpose, little patch or something, what I'll do a lot of times, I rig it up on the loom, do a bunch of them, then I just tape them when I get them back, get them apart, and then I can just cut them and then fold it under and sew it, make a little, whatever it might be, if you're making loops, or the little circle things, or if I make little Christmas trees for like Christmas, a little patch type thing that just has a little needle snap type thing that closes on the back of it. Just anything to keep it from, and then it should, when you take them apart, you should just sew them to a piece of leather. That would be the traditional thing to do so that it stays where you want it and everything. A lot of this stuff I haven't gotten that done to. This was a real old design too that I saw someplace, and I changed the colors and stuff to go with it.
Mm-hmm.
But there are different books and stuff out telling you how to do the Native American type beading and how to go with the, okay, now there's one I've got sewed on a piece of leather already. So then you can sew it on or put a little, whatever a keeper would be that would snap in and you can put it on. I'm thinking it's number 8.
Yeah.
I think it's 8 usually.
Yeah.
Because the 6s are just a little bit bigger. The 6s are what I used for that little wrist thing. That's more like a 6, and I use more like, no, this is more like the,
That would be higher.
yeah, the 6 is bigger,
Yeah,
and
it is.
so the 8 would be the next. Whatever this size is, that's what I get. And I have to look at, on my little packages that I get, Bobby Bead has that all written out for me.
Yeah.
So what's your beads? What's your
A lot of times it's Bobby Bead out of Minnesota. They're on
Bobby
the internet,
Bead.
and they have a lot of different beads and stuff. Sometimes I'll go to reenactment, see what somebody has or whatever that way. So, depending on what I'm looking for. Anymore, I'm not looking for beads. I got just way too many.
How much work?
Tell us about
If you want to see more of what has already been passed around, get up and see
Yeah.
what's on the table, because you missed quite a bit of it. I don't mean to stop you.
No, I'm done.
Gilbert?
He's done, y'all.